and live. Hello, everybody. YouTube says we are live. Welcome to our live demo today. If you can hear me, please type llama into the chat so we know we are good to go and ready to start our live demo this evening or morning or afternoon, wherever it is for you. Welcome, everybody. Hope you all are having a great day so far. Happy Tuesday. All righty, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I don't see any llamas yet, but I think if you guys want to type llama in the chat, we'll know. I see some hellos now. Hello, llama. Good. Perfect. Thank you, guys. All right, welcome. Today is, we have a lovely host for you, Clarice Gomes, and she is going to be doing some awesome mixing and matching with loose watercolor blooms. My name's Anna. I'll be your host this evening. If you're new to Etcher, just put your questions that you have in all caps and then followed by your questions so I can see them clearly in the chat. I will be passing those along to Clarice as she's painting today. This is a demo, not quite a step-by-step tutorial, but if you're interested in a step-by-step tutorial and you love this, make sure you sign up for Clarice's mini workshop. I'll be posting that in the chat later, so stick around so you can catch that. As you know, or if you do not know, we do these free online demos pretty much every day now. So feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel and turn on notifications if you're an art lover or new to art and you want more. Subscribe and you'll get notified when we go live. Our next one is actually Thursday, July 1st at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with Nathalie Brucker, and she's doing stylized animals in watercolor and colored pencil. That's going to be really fun. Hi. But I know you all are here for Clarice tonight. So Clarice, please take it away and let's get painting.
Okay, just a really quick intro. My name is Clarice, just like Anna said. I am a watercolor artist, self-proclaimed, because I'm self-taught. I am actually a designer, and the watercolor kind of just inserted its way when COVID flared up, I guess. And I do watercolor videos on YouTube, which is, I guess, what most people know me for. And today I will be showing you loose florals, which is what I am known to do and which is what I enjoy to do. So happy to share this with you guys. And Anna, I don't know if you're going to switch over to...
Switching now. And there's so many people saying hello to you already.
Hey, guys. I can't see the chat, but I'm just saying hi. All right. So just to show you a quick example of some of the work I've done, and this is on Etcher paper. This is the Etcher sketchbook. I believe this is the cold press. No, hot press. My gosh, I always get them mixed up. This is the textured paper, guys. All right, so just here's a couple of examples that I've, I guess, of my style. And today since we're going to be doing this on a different sized sheet of paper, it won't be as big. But yeah, just really quickly showing you guys what I have done recently in the recent past.
They're so beautiful. I love it.
Thank you. Now, the idea for today's workshop actually stemmed from something I had done on one of my videos a while back. And what I had done here was just paint a bunch of different items, then cut them out and put them together. And I made a little bit of a card, not a little bit of a card, a card. And I thought I would show this technique to you guys, which is fairly simple to do, but I have another product by Etcher, which is the postcard. And I thought it's super cute and we don't really need to cut if we've got a ready-made card. So I'm just going to paint directly on this and we are going to go with the flow, which is what I like to do normally. So let's get right into it. So I'm definitely using the Etcher postcard sheet of paper here. I think it's like a 4x6 if I'm not mistaken. For my brushes, I'm going to be using my Silver Black Velvet #4 and the Escada #2. I have my paper towel ready. I have a palette ready. I've got 2 little containers of water ready as well. And for my colors, I'm going to be using partly St. Petersburg White Nights. So these are the 5 colors: carmine, violet, green, turquoise or indigo, and then finally cadmium medium lemon. And then we are going to also mix those colors up with Etcher's versatile pearlescent, not metallics. You guys call them pearlescent.
Mm-hmm.
And I love these bright hues. I think it'll be perfect for a little card. So we're gonna get started with these. So let me just get my palette where it's easily accessible. And we're gonna start off by, let's talk a little bit about composition before I begin. Normally, when you're doing a bunch of different florals, you want to have a hierarchy where you have the main florals, then you have the little florals that enhance the main florals, and then you have the filler florals, which are really tiny. They almost kind of look like wildflowers almost. And then you have your greenery around it that makes the flowers pop. So just to give you a quick idea of how I'm starting, I always start off with my main florals first. So I know exactly where dominant space is taken up on the sheet. Then we start with the tinier ones and we progress so on and so forth, leaving the leaves to be the very last element really. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create a rose or a peony style of floral for our main bloom. And for that, I am going to mix in some of my cadmium lemon. I'm just going to get that a little bit of that onto my palette. And I want the ratio to be like 30-70, like 70 being water. And we're going to use the number 4. Now I'm using number 4 and number 2 because of the size of my paper or sheet. Otherwise, normally I'd be using a mop brush for something like this. All right, so I have this color ready. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to press the belly off my brush from the point or from the tip all the way down. I'm pressing my brush down. I am just going to kind of shimmy all around here. And then dipping the tip of my brush in water, I'm just going to enhance this area by just adding additional strokes all around. And then I'm just going to close it up, leaving white space in the center. I know you can barely see it. So I'm adding a little bit extra of the lemon.
Clarice, do you think we can zoom the camera down like a little, like push it down a little?
Sure.
That might be better to get in there. Yeah, we want to get a little bit in there. That's perfect. And I'll,
good?
If you just want to say what color you're using.
Yes, this is the cadmium medium lemon.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm just mixing a little bit more of this. And I'm just going to add a couple of strokes around. Notice that I've not kind of filled in this area, but you can see hints of petals out on this end here. And this floral is facing downward. And so I'm just kind of swishing the color, allowing the watercolor to kind of do its thing. And you can see some areas are lighter, some areas are darker, and the white space is working quite nicely. Now, once I have this happening, what I want to do is, before it dries up completely, I'm going to get a little bit of the, I don't have the sheet with me, but it's I think this is the ruby from the versatile line of colors. Can you guys see me mixing? Yes,
yeah,
you can.
We can see that one. Yeah.
Perfect. So I'm getting the ruby. This is what I think it is. Oh my gosh, I don't remember where the sheet is. Sorry, I won't have the name.
Pinkish color. Here we got.
Yes.
Got it.
So I'm getting some of that. And what I want to do is enhance the center to make it look like it's got a nice pinky hue in the center. So I'm just going to do little C strokes and allow this color to kind of seep into the lemon and give us a nice enough blend. And I'm using the tip of my brush to do this because I want the lines to be thin. I don't want them to be thick. Like the detail needs to look very subtle. And I'm just adding a couple of hints at the edge as well, allowing this nice pretty color to kind of blend in so it looks like cohesive and as like one element.
It looks so beautiful already.
Thank you.
Is it pretty important, the stroke that you're doing with the brush?
Yes, I'm doing it very lightly, and I'm not, this is where the looseness comes into effect, where you literally just need to allow with the flick of your wrist to kind of just keep going, almost like a curve arc kind of shape as you're going along. I don't know if you can see that, but it's pretty much like this. And the reason behind that is if you get very concentrated and deliberate with your strokes, then it looks overworked or it looks not as loose and you kind of lose that effect. So I'm just going to get a little bit more of that color and add it to the center to enhance this, because what happens with watercolor is as you kind of allow it to dry, it gets a lot lighter. And so I want to give this rose a nice soft center. And I also want the center to be a lot darker compared to the rest of it. And so I'm just going to enhance the center a little bit more with this nice pretty color. So again, taking the color directly from the pan, because now I have the most potent version of this color. I'm using the tip of my brush and I'm going to do little C strokes or comma strokes. And I'm going over the strokes I've already done. But you don't want to overwork it. So some areas, leave them light. The other areas, you can kind of add the additional stroke. And because the floral is kind of facing downward, I'm just going to focus on adding it to the center and then to the bottom here, and then leave it at that. So now that we've done this, we're ready to go on to the next floral. For the next one, we're going to do something a little more simplistic, like the 5-petal flower. And for that, I am going to be using the same color again. And the idea of using the same color, the ruby, is to kind of pick on the hues so that at the end, your end result is it all kind of ties in together really well. So I'm getting some of that color. I'm going to mix it onto my palette here just really quickly. I'm just going to move my water here. And now once I have a fairly decent consistency, again, close to the 70-30% ratio, I'm going to do my first petal, and I'm going to place this floral over here on this end, almost in the back area of where the rose is. And we're starting off by pressing down, dipping the tip of my brush in water. I'm going to do the other side of this petal. I'm doing another stroke to kind of enhance this petal. And the reason for doing these strokes separately is because I want white space in between. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the exact same thing, but this time I've taken a darker hue of the same color, a darker version of it, by getting the color directly from there. And I'm going to create this petal. Are you still able to see me? I can't hear you now.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
I think you just froze for a second. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, is it Okay, hopefully it doesn't happen again. All right, so going on with the third petal, in the same manner that we did the first one, we're just kind of adding these little loose strokes. Now, because it's close to this rose, I don't want to overlap the rose, but if you do end up overlapping it, it's okay. Don't worry about it, no sweat. Getting some more of the pink. And I'll do the last petal right here. And what we want to do when we're doing these kind of florals is always push the color to the center. You want the darkest portion of this at the center of your floral. All right, perfect. And now that I have that, I'm just going to make sure that the areas that are still damp, mainly in the center, that I add more of that color to get like that nice darker enhanced hue. And hoping that while it's still damp, it's able to kind of give us that nice gradient, monochromatic, dark to light kind of effect.
So
Perfect.
It's darker and deeper towards the center?
Yes, correct.
I love that. It looks great.
Thank you. So now that we've done this one, we're going to do another one off to the side here. And this one can be almost like a floral that's facing upward. And so again, just dipping the tip of my brush in water, I'm just going to go ahead and add one stroke here this way. Now remember, this floral is kind of facing upward, right? So we're going to do these petals almost like in a bowl shape, forming a bowl. And using this, like the side of your brush, you're just kind of sweeping under, again, arc type of strokes.
I love your explanations. It makes it so easy to capture the stroke, how you explain it.
Thank you. I once used a linear and I got corrected online because linear is supposed to be straight. And what I was meaning to say is linear, like thin lines. So as I am doing the painting and describing, sometimes it does get a little bit warped in my mind. So I do my best. Now I am just adding a little bit of this leftover color just to kind of add some semblance.
Oh no, I'm not sure what's why we keep freezing, guys. I'm sorry for the interruptions. I'm sure we can get that figured out really quick. Clarice, sorry, we lost you again for a second. I'm spotlighting you.
Okay.
I'm not sure why internet somewhere is acting up tonight. I'm so sorry, guys.
Yeah, sorry, guys. At least the phone seems to be on perpetually, right? You can see my desktop, right?
Yes. We haven't been cut off, so we're still good.
Okay, perfect. All right, so again, like I was saying, I'm just adding a couple of strokes at the bottom. I just added a few strokes at the top and they're very light. And that's to kind of indicate background background petals like overlapping, and this would be the center. So hopefully that makes some sense to you guys. Again, I'm taking a little bit of this darker color that I have and just lightly touching the bottom of those petals, background petals that we've done. And then just adding a couple of very loose like strokes here and there around it. And this is what kind of makes it look fluffy without adding a lot of detail to your floral. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that. And we can now add some green. Actually, let's leave the green for the end, which is what I had explained to you guys anyways initially. Let's do some of the smaller florals. And for that, I'm going to be using, I believe I used the teal, no, sorry, the blue, which is the only blue here, if you're not really counting turquoise or teal. And I'm just going to mix some of that on here because the blue is kind of bright and I don't want it to be overpowering my main florals, I want it to be a little bit softer. So I'm mixing some of that blue onto here. And because these are going to be the smaller florals, I'm going to switch my brush and get the number 2.
So you added more water to this one to
just to
make it softer, as you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just collecting some of that blue that I mixed on here with some water. And we're going to start off by doing some very tiny, basic 5-petal florals. So again, I'm just pressing down with my brush, 1 stroke, 2 strokes in a, like, I guess some of you would be doing leaves in this manner as well. And you're pushing all the color down to the bottom, to the middle of the flower. And notice I am leaving white space. I am leaving the center white as well. And we're just going to continue in this fashion all around. Now, what I like to do is do one flower that's like 5 petals facing up, and then kind of do the other ones almost like they are in the background or overlapping these. So kind of like how we did this flower. So this one, we could make it look just 2 petals and then like a third one over there at the top, leaving white space. That's how you can achieve this look. Another thing to do is you can mix in some of like a purple hue, and then you get like this nice 2-tone effect. And then that's another way to kind of differentiate your florals if they're looking too much like a jumble of shapes. So here is me adding some purple, touching some of the blue here, because I want that soft, I guess these could almost pass for either, is it forget-me-nots that have, right? Yeah.
The little blue ones. Yeah.
Yes.
I think they're forget-me-nots. If you guys know, type it in the chat, because I think they are, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, like they're like a little bit blue, and they've got like a nice little purpley hue and even pink sometimes. So that's the idea here, to kind of get something soft like that and pretty. And what I want to do is, as I'm getting more done, I'm just going to try and get it to look a lot more softer. So I'm adding more water to my already pretty watered down palette. And then I'm just kind of adding like random dots here and there to kind of indicate loose background florals almost. Hoping that makes sense to you guys.
Somebody says they're so excited to see this session because they love your loose techniques and they're so fabulous.
Oh, thank you. So I'm going to add the same hint of blue that we have going on here onto one other area. So let's just pick possibly this area at the bottom over here. So it's diagonal, and that's always like a nice thing in design and painting. So again, we're doing the same thing, adding the same kind of florals, trying to be loose about it without adding too much detail. Get in some of that purple or ruby, I think it is. And again, we're trying to make sure that it is not too dark, so it's not overpowering, but complementary to what we have happening with our nice florals at the top. And what I'm also doing is adding a touch of that to the center of these petals. So it's like a mishmash, like I'm now fluctuating between the blue and the purple. I want to get it to look like there are a bunch of flowers together without really giving it too much detail. And then finally, I wanted to kind of soften off and fade off in the background almost. So adding some more of the purple hue. And I'm just adding a couple of dots here and there now. And I think this is good. We've got these two areas. Now we can kind of move on to adding some greenery. So for the greenery, I am going to actually do, I've decided to do regular leaves and then some eucalyptus style leaves. So for the first one, we're going to mix in some of my green, and I'm going to continue using the number 2. Now this green is a little bit dark, so it might be a good contrast for what we have going on here. And
oh, I'm so excited. I love the flow you've already created. It looks so pretty. And the colors.
I just don't want it to be too dark or green. So what I'm going to do is mix in some of my yellow, the cadmium medium lemon, and just make it a lighter green. And this is what I'm getting. I just realized you guys weren't able to see me mixing. All right, so now the first thing I want to do is I think I'm going to do some leaves, a little bit of green below this floral first, just so that there's a good differentiation between the 3 main florals that we have. And so for that, I'm just going to add a couple of like loose looking strokes. It almost looks like it's the underbelly area of the flower, but it could maybe also pass for leaves in the background. And I'm pushing all the color to the center of this again. Now, once I have that, I'm going to create a couple of leaves over on this end. So I like to give my stem a little bit of direction, so it's a little bit curved, and then using the tip, I'm pressing down and then trailing off. And then getting a little bit of water on the tip of my brush, I'm going to do the exact same thing for the other side and get that leaf in there. Now, notice that it looks all right, but I'm going to add a little bit of that darker green to the center, and this always to the bottom. And this always adds that nice gradient effect that I was telling you guys about, even for the flowers, for the floral centers. Again, I'm going to add that to the bottom of this one as well. It gives us a nice contrast in our artwork.
Yeah, with those soft colors, that looks, and then the little touch of darkness. I like it.
Enhancement, yeah.
Yeah.
And now, because this is so loose and supposed to be soft, I'm just going to add a couple of strokes, just like a stroke like this, to indicate another leaf. And then dipping the tip of my brush in water so I can get a lighter green. I'm just going to add another one over here on this end. And then just like a really rough one over there. Because again, this is how you get that whole soft, loose effect, by just kind of allowing things to just be, not overworking it, just doing a couple of strokes and you're done. So again, just want to move this color around a little bit. That's fine. So now we've got leaves there. I want to do a couple over here on this end. So again, I've drawn in a stem, and then using the tip of my brush first, I'm going to press down and then connect to that stem. Dipping the tip of my brush in water again. We're doing the exact same thing, but on the other side of this leaf. There we go. And you can always turn your sheet over if you're not getting the right, if your arm's like a different angle or whatever, not comfortable with that. I'm just doing one more stroke here for this leaf of mine, and then getting some more green. I'm going to create another leaf over here. Oops.
How are you deciding where to place the leaves?
I am deciding where to place the leaves based on where, like I know I want it only in 2 areas because I'm going to do the eucalyptus leaves. I've got the blues here and I've got our main leaves there. So I wanted to have it on 2 different ends. I would never have it over here and then the eucalyptus leaves here. I want things spread out. So really and truly what I encourage people to normally do, like this is how I'm placing it, but feel free to place your leaves where you think works for you. And at the same time, also keep in mind where you're adding it also adds some shape to your composition. So I wouldn't necessarily add extra leaves over here and then it would make it extra long, right? Like, I mean, unless that's what you want, but shape is one thing to keep in mind when you're doing these. So I just went ahead and added a little darker hue onto my brush, and I'm kind of giving this a little more of a darker shade because you can see that it's drying off to be really light. And I'm just going to add one more petal leaf over there. And then just getting a little bit more of that green. I'm just adding some, like a loose stroke there.
And Clarice, just so you know, we are halfway through our demo.
Okay, awesome.
And I'm also just wanting to mention your mini workshop. I see somebody already signed up, which is awesome. So I'm going to post that in the chat for everyone else to jump in and sign up for the mini workshop, which is on July 19th. If you are loving this and you love some floral painting, get in there, sign up.
All right, okay, so we've got these leaves. I don't want to overdo it on the leaves. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and do the eucalyptus leaves that I was talking about. So for the eucalyptus leaves, I am mixing some of this green, the dark green that I have, and I am taking the indigo and I'm mixing a little bit of the indigo in with this green. And it gives us this dark turquoise. Again, I'm doing a little bit more here because I got a little too much green on there.
I feel like eucalyptus is such a good touch to a bouquet too. It's like,
yeah,
it's always a good addition.
Now you need to make sure that these are a little bit light so that they're not overpowering like the other leaves. And again, at this point, you want to decide where ahead of time where you want to add these. Now, I think adding one over here on this end, kind of pointing downwards would be nice. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to add my stem first and then dipping the tip of my brush in water. I'm going to start doing the leaves. So the top leaves, I'm kind of going around, I'm doing like a rounded leaf as opposed to a sharp edged or sharp tip leaf. And then in the second one, I'm just going to create like one blob, dark enough. And then as I kind of go downward, I'm going to make sure like some of them are just like thin lines, some of them are rounded. And again, I am dipping the tip of my brush in water just to kind of get that.
So you're kind of thinking about the direction that you're looking at them almost? Is that right?
Not really. Because this is a loose style, I'm just going with some are flat, some are rounded, and the leaves, some of them are facing upward. So I'm trying to get that impression or give that impression that it's a eucalyptus leaf.
Yeah, could be facing anyway.
Right, exactly. And they're never side by side constantly. Some of them are like this one over here. The other guy to this could be on the other side, or maybe it's just the one. So it's kind of hard to explain. I don't know. I'm probably mucking it up.
Well, that's what's so fun about eucalyptus. It's kind of like a random plant.
Yeah, and it's so pretty. It adds some amazing shape and color. And yeah, I think it's a great addition to like a painting.
Yeah.
So
it looks great with those little forget-me-nots. Are they forget-me-nots? I think so.
Yeah, I think so. They look a lot bigger than the reality, but it's okay. It's all good. Now for these leaves, you know what? It would be nice to also do them in the turquoise that we have happening here. So I'm actually going to do this next one, fluctuating between the turquoise that I have mixed and also the one from the Etcher palette. So let's see. Let's do one over here. Since we have one going downward, let's do one going upward. And Let's do it that way. And I'm going to start off by doing the 2 upper leaves.
And if you guys are painting along, don't forget to share your work with us, because I personally love to see the outcome of the artwork from live demos. So I'm going to share our hashtag in the chat. And I'm also going to share Clarice's Instagram if you want to see more of her work, or if you want to have a chance to share with her as well. That's always fun.
Yeah. All right, so what I'm doing here is I have just used some of the turquoise that I mixed, and then I went in and I added this second tier of leaves with the teal from the palette there. And I really like how it's kind of mixing in and rendering together. It has that nice little pop, and I almost feel like some should be on here. So I'm going ahead and adding it here too. So here's the thing about like loose style, like you try things and you should not be afraid to try them, because don't worry, there's always another sheet of paper waiting for you. So try it anyways, if that's what you feel like you want to do. And then if you don't like it, just don't do it the next time.
I feel like the postcards are a really good size too, because it's small, so it's not as intimidating as like a huge piece of paper.
Yeah.
It's a good way to start.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we've done 2 of these. We could almost do a third, I would say. We've got time, right?
Yeah, we have time.
We have time. So I'm just going to do a third one over on this end here. Yeah, let's do it on this end. And I'll make it a lot smaller, shorter in size compared to like all the other ones, the other 2. And I'm just going to give it 3 tiers. And then let it kind of fade away. Yeah, so that's it. And now finally, we can go ahead and add a little bit more of the little filler florals that I was talking about. You've got your main, you've got your side ones, and then you've got the filler ones. And for that, I'm going to use the, I'll use some of the teal again, because I felt like it was a nice blend. And I'm going to mix it in with some of the purple that we have right here. And let's just see how that purple renders, because I just feel like it's a little bit too bright. This one might be better. I think this is the ruby. It's like a reddish mauve purple, maybe. Yeah, I think the ruby is way better. Okay, so for this, I want this kind of consistency. We don't need a lot of color because it's not a big space. And so I'm going to select this area right here to create some little florals. And I think it'll be a good area to start just because it's got yellow, and purple is complementary to yellow, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna, so again, because of the space, we're gonna do, these are going to be almost like delphiniums. So we're gonna start off by doing like a couple of tiny strands, like a couple of dots. And then as we go down, we're adding additional, almost like a Christmas tree shape. So we're going from pointed at the top to like full at the bottom. And then I'm just literally just adding a couple of dabs of this color. Just to kind of enhance it. And you can see it almost looks like polka dots. I like to refer to these as polka dot filler florals. So I've done some here. I'll do some over on this end as well.
They're so pretty. I wish, do you think if we lifted the card that people could see the pearlescent effect? It's so beautiful. I feel like it's one of those things where you have to see it in person almost.
There you go, yeah. It's great in natural light because I have the lighting here and you can see a little bit of it, right?
Yeah, just a little bit of that shine. It's so beautiful though.
It is. This is a fabulous set. I really like them.
And purple is my favorite, so that just made me think about it a little more since you're using purple.
Yeah. All right, so I did some here, and I'm gonna do some. I've got 2, and I'm gonna add 1 more on this end here, and then close that up. So just getting some more of that color. Let's add it over here. So again, we're starting with dots at the top and then giving some space and then kind of adding more jaggedy strokes as we go downward. And they could either be linear lines. There we go. There's linear lines. Lines, and you're just doing several of them at the same time. And then you're mixing in some dots as well. And that can give you that nice little fluffy effect. Or you can just do exactly what I was doing, which was just going at it with a haphazard manner, making sure you leave white space though. And yeah, just kind of letting it go without giving it too much detail. And perfect. So we've done this. Now what I want to do is using the number 2 brush, I'm going to get a little bit of the leftover green. And I want to add the connecting stem and a little bit of branches or stems within this that we have just painted in. And because it's still damp, you're going to see some blending happening. And that's always nice. And if not, that's okay. It's just a very, very tiny detail. You can almost barely see it. Okay.
There's a question from one of our viewers. Maybe you can talk about it a little bit, but what inspired you to focus on florals?
Oh, because I wanted to make it big in the wedding industry. And and by wedding industry, I mean, like, because I was a designer. I am a designer, graphic designer, and I wanted to design wedding cards because I love pretty things and romantic things and all that stuff. And when watercolor cards really started being a thing in the industry, I like doing my own graphics and stuff. And so I purchased whatever was on clearance at the local art shop and had a go at it. And turned out to be really good. And turned out I didn't make it big in the wedding industry, but the florals seem to be doing really well. So here I am.
It's so beautiful.
Thanks.
Thanks
so I'm
for
using,
sharing that.
sorry.
No, thanks for sharing that.
Oh, no worries. So I'm mixing some of the leftover cadmium medium lemon with some of the green that I have. I don't like wasting color. And I'm now going to create these little tiny tendril-like things around our little painting. And they will have like buds and little tendrils on them as well. So let's start with one happening over on this end. And I'm kind of, you want to go really thin with the tip of your brush. And then just kind of give it a nice curve.
Oh, you made that look so easy.
Oh, my hand was shaking. And then so now that we have that in there, I'm just going to make it look like this is a bud hanging on this little tendril right there. And then I'm adding a couple of like little strokes around here, and then maybe even adding some thin leaves to this. And again here as well at the top. So that's essentially what our tendril will look like, or the tendrils will look like. And then feel free to add them as and where you feel it's needed. So I'm going to add one over here on this end. And this one, I'll give it a little bit of a curl.
Oh, cute.
You see that?
Yeah. And Clarice, do you have any tips on how to choose your colors for like a more complex arrangement?
Yes, I do. So normally I would I pick my two bright colors, and then I will pick a dark color that kind of brings some balance to the bright colors. And if I'm using bright colors, I'm not going to use a bright green. I'm going to use a green that's mixed with like browns or a little bit of brown, just so it has that more olivey kind of hue. And then you're not having the leaves fighting with the flowers, which is not the best thing. Another thing, if you're just starting out, is what I would do is just go on Pinterest and find a bouquet that you really like and look at the colors there and pick those. That's a great start, I think, until you find your groove with things. I'm gonna add one more over here.
Yeah, I feel like your colors look so beautiful together.
Thank you. And these are, again, I'm adding these little thin leaves. So that we've got some nice delicate detail around our paintings to kind of end off that way. So we've got it in 3 places, and I think that's good enough. There's leftover color. If you want to actually add some green, what's it called, berries or berry looking things, you can totally do that. Or if you want to make it a different color as well, you can do that as well. Let's add a couple over here. How are we doing for time? How much time do we have?
We are just passing the 45-minute mark.
Oh, okay. We've got a little bit of time.
I'm a bad
so I'm just going to use the leftover green that I have to create these little berries. And let's add.
Oh no, I think we froze again. Let me know if you guys can still hear me. Sorry about that. I'm sure we'll be back in just a second here. But if you guys can hear me, I'm just going to post in the chat real quick this survey for tonight. Clarice, we lost you again for a second. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Yes. All right.
Yeah, we're almost done. We're almost done.
I don't know what's going on tonight.
Sorry, guys. It seems so painful. Oh my gosh.
Sometimes the internet just doesn't want to help you out, so it's been no big deal.
Yeah, that's happened to me a couple of times. People who, I guess, who are on here and have watched my videos can attest to that, I'm sure. Share your jokes in the chat, guys. I'm giving you permission.
Anyways, it's okay.
These are very basic looking berry type details that I'm adding. You can feel free to add them or just leave them out entirely. I think it adds some nice additional detail to your painting as a whole. And then we're done.
It looks awesome. And I just posted our survey in the chat. So if you guys want to take a minute to fill that out for us and just let us know how we're doing with everything. We do share the feedback with the artist as well. So that's always nice for them to see that. And don't forget to share your work. I think you guys are following along. So make sure you're sharing your work with us.
Yes, I'd love to see it. So does the work, do they share it with you on Instagram, or do you post it? Like, how does that work on stories? Or
that's a good question. They can share it either on Instagram, or we do have a Facebook group. And either way, if you tag us on either of those, we'll be able to share to see it.
Okay, fabulous. All right, okay, so we're pretty much done. One final detail that I would do is just adding a little bit of darker hues to the centers that we have. And then again, that's going to make the flowers pop. I'm going to use the violet that I have. Hopefully that does a decent enough job. Or actually, you know what? I could use the black. Let me use this black that we have with the metallics. Since we're doing metallics, let's keep with that theme. And I'm just going to add a couple of little jaggedy edges, lines to this flower here, just like that. And then for these ones, I'm just going to add a couple of dots. I know they are forget-me-nots and they are normally white in the center, but just this is my loose style of painting, and I am loosely adding black to them instead of the white because we got a lot of white in the background already. And yeah, I think we're almost done.
It looks so beautiful. And one of our comments says, this is absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you. All right, and that's it, guys. Any questions?
Let's see them. If you guys have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. Anything about Clarice's workflow or anything you'd like to know from her, feel free to type them in the chat now. And in the meantime, I'm just going to share some of our information here. Our mini workshop with Clarice is on July 19th. So definitely take a minute to jump in and sign up for that class because it's going to be awesome. Clarice, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. It's kind of going to go along the same lines that what I've done today. I'll let you know exactly what we're using, what kind of visual. You know what? This time I think I'm going to have a visual for you guys beforehand because people will be following along, correct?
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that. The mini workshop is more of a step-by-step, so everyone will have the opportunity to kind of paint along, and it'll be a little slower pace than this, so you can actually get in there and paint along and follow.
So I had actually planned to have the beginning where I'm going to explain the strokes that I'm going to be using the most for whatever I decide to do for the mini workshop, and then this way give people a chance to kind of practice with the brush strokes and then also the water to color consistencies before we actually delve and go into composing something.
Awesome.
So hopefully that will be a little more helpful for those just starting out and just, you know, dabbling.
That sounds awesome. And there's so many comments coming in about how much everyone has loved this so much tonight.
Awesome. I'm so happy. Yay.
So I'm just going to also post our survey one more time for you guys to fill out if you have a second. We'd love to hear from you. And also, don't forget to share your work, mainly because I just like go and try and find everyone's and see how beautiful everything came out.
Yeah, I can't wait to see either.
And I'm going to post Clarice's Instagram page, and she also has a website as well. So support the artist, support the art, and go check out her stuff. Awesome.
Thanks, guys. I can't wait to see your work too. Eager.
And we hope to see you in the mini workshop. Thank you so much. I'm gonna, Clarice, let you finish up with just the last words of the evening for our
Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm being put in the spot. I don't even, you didn't prepare me for this.
I didn't warn you, sorry.
What do I even say? Well, okay. Thanks so much, guys, for joining me. I really, really hope you guys had fun. I tried to make this as fun and simple because I know it's a demo. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, if you follow me on Instagram, please feel free to reach out. I love hearing from you guys. If you want me to critique your work too, it's only positive criticism, I promise you. Feel free to send me an image. Happy to chat with you guys. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, guys. Back to the artwork for one last glimpse here.
Yep.
And thank you all. Have a wonderful evening or day, wherever you are. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.